Alright guys, so what is up? So today I wanted to answer a simple question, which is ultimately what are the key elements that create the most failure at OCS? This is specifically the Army OCS. So whether you are prior service, in service, or coming straight out of college, the key things that ultimately fail people at OCS is going to be about three different things. Number one is going to be injury. Injury obviously is inevitable. There's going to be at least one or two of you that are going to get hurt. Our class, I think we had 3 or 4 people that got hurt in total out of 155. So percentage wise, it's not as high, but ultimately it comes down to being careful. And also, if you have prior injury from boot camp, or if you're in service and you just don't want to disclose those injury and you know it's going to get worse because of the PT you're going to do, just kind of put your head in a mindset that you might need to disclose those things and take care of those things prior to going to OCS. Otherwise, you're going to sit at OCS footprints for months. And honestly, it's not a very fun barracks type of situation. It's like boot camp, essentially. So the second thing is going to be LenNav. LenNav, some of it has to do with difficulty. The other part has to do with just time management. Time management is the key that failed a lot of people. For my class, we were surprisingly good at passing. We had, I think, a 98% passing, which is one of the highest that OCS has had in a very long time. Usually, they only have about somewhere around 90 to the low 80s to passing wise. They did lower the standards for my class when it comes down to passing. I think you need 3 out of 6 points. It used to be 4 out of 7 points. So, take it with a grain of salt. But also, the main reason with the LenNav, because of time management, is because people try to find all 7 points, or all 6 points in this case. And they just run around, try to figure out all 6 points like headless chicken. Before they know it, they don't have enough time to get back. So figure out a plan and a strategy for you to find the points that matter, the ones that you think are going to be a little bit easier. So for what I did for me that worked out was I went to the points that were the closest ones to the road, and I found those first. Because at the end of the day, dead reckoning is not going to work all the time, especially since a lot of the terrain is very hilly and it's very dense forest. So if you're thinking that you got to dead reckon the entire time, just rethink it, because it's going to be a lot of swamps, it's going to be a lot of water everywhere, and especially if it storms the night before or the day of, it's very muddy, and you're not going to be able to get out of some situation. That's why a lot of people get hurt, is because they get stuck and they step on a pothole that's actually very, very deep. So be very careful, plan the situation ahead of time. The best strategy that I have seen for LenNav was ultimately go to the furthest point first and make your way back that way. Because in case you can't reach those other 2 points that are very close to the road, or whatever it is that are closer to the actual return points, you can just run straight back home, essentially. And that is one of the key things that hurt a lot of people. There's the time management and just a lack of strategy when it comes down to figuring out the other points. Another strategy you want to use for LenNav is make sure you plug all 6 points. Don't just plug and go, essentially, because you'd be surprised. Some points are very, very close to the actual start point. I had somebody who had all 6 points literally within 5 miles of the actual entry. So it's honestly a luck of a draw. For me, I have the bottom of the pizza, and it was honestly, I pretty much ran a marathon, or half marathon in this case, because I ran all the way from the entry points all the way to the bottom of the pizza, which that alone was about 8 miles. And then running all the way back up is another 6.5 miles. So I hit points on my way down south, but it's essentially what I had to do in order for me to get the score that I got. I got 5 points out of 6. I ran out of time for the other point. I should have honestly gone for that other point first, because it was a little bit deeper in the forest, and then just gone for the second bottom points next, because that one was right there too. So those 2 points kind of screw me, because I went to the easy points first, and those are the ones that essentially really got me the points that I needed for my job and everything else. So just be smart, play it accordingly, and have a strategy. Don't wait until the last second to plot the points and do everything, because you're gonna get lost. And the third and final points that essentially get a lot of OCS people in trouble and ultimately gets them kicked out of OCS is history. History has a very high fail rate when it comes down to the first time. Now, the second time around, usually 99% of people pass, according to them. I don't think I've seen any recycle for history, but history mentally, when it comes down, if you're active duty or reserves, and your job actually, like the OML matters for you, history is gonna screw you, because that's why a lot of people get to the bottom of the class is because of history. Because history alone, it's, if you're a history teacher or if you are, a very good and like history like me, you're gonna get screwed. I failed history test the first time around. History is not one of those that is traditional dates and battle names and things like that. It's very specific to battle formations, type of strategy that was used, what type of engagement was used, whether it was an aggressive engagement, whether it was a passive engagement, was a good engagement. So it's very broad and honestly has nothing to do with the actual history itself. You're going to be studying 250 years of history within basically 2 days. And you're expected to know in detail all of that. So is it realistic for you to, be able to pass all that by studying specifically just a book? No. Because they give you a study guide, essentially, and that's where I failed at, is that I didn't focus on the study guide and the study guide questions. The way that it works is that the instructors are going to give you a study guide that's got 25 questions, but each individual question has got 3 different versions to it, because there's going to be 3 different versions of test. And essentially, you can get any of those 3 versions. So, and each one of those 3 versions has maybe about 2 to 3 different answers. So if you do the mental math, it's about 250 to 150 questions roughly that you can get there. So it's a hit or miss. I just didn't do too good at studying for the study guide. I like history. I enjoyed just studying everything. I read the book every single day. I probably spend, the 4 hours in class and another 8 hours when I get back to the barracks. So it screwed me, which is okay. But if you have a strategy, I would say, just study the 25 questions that they give you. A lot of it is on Quizlets. A lot of it is online at this point. But they do change the test every single class. That's why I'm not doing a history specific video, because at the end of the day, by the time you watch this video and take your own history test, it's going to be completely different. So that's the key thing. Just, study the study guide, focus on the questions. You're going to learn a lot in class because you're going to just mentally be focused, unless you are really tired because you studied a lot the night before. But just be smart. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.